Another opening, another show. In Blue Sky Theater in Monroe, a chance for stage folks to say hello. Thank you for being here. Tonight, we are doing a fusion of Broadway, off-Broadway, and what Jayanti called inner Broadway. He did. A miraculous man. Oh, if I had only known him. But tonight, I do know him. So, acting. Acting is a very interesting thing. There are very few rules. I mean, look at Shirley Temple. She was 4 years old, and she knew what to do already. She didn't have to go to school. There are only a few ideas about acting. One is, you need to show up. And these people have shown up, and I'm so grateful for that. Another rule of acting is, don't walk into the furniture. So I'm going to try and remember that tonight and not walk into anything. And with that said, I don't think we have to do much more, except say, relax, stretch out. The more you enjoy, laugh, cry, applaud, anything you like, because it's your show. And again, we're so grateful you're here. I think Jayanti will be very happy to see so many people. So, if the cast would go to one at this point, we will begin. We're storytellers, aren't we? You know what I'm talking about. Because everybody in this room is a creative human being. We tell stories. And tonight we're going to tell stories, not just in words, in dance, in music, and who knows what else. With Rumi, he may tell a story before the end of the evening. He's already told me a story, which I love. So, I'm going to ask now for Vimala to start us off with the story. And one word about balloons. A lot of people have stopped me around the ashram and said, what is this with balloons? What is this thing about balloons that you have? Well, I look at a balloon and I think freedom. It's total freedom. It goes up, it goes down, it moves to the sides. You never know where it's going to go. But it always has life. And it inspires me when I see a balloon. So Vimala is going to start us off. And let's give her a round of applause.
So, I'm going to tell you guys the story of the red balloon. I don't know if any of you have heard the story of the red balloon. And if you haven't, I'm going to tell you about it. So, the story takes place in Paris, and the main character is a little boy named Pascal. And Pascal is walking through the streets on his way to school, and he sees a big, giant red balloon, and it's stuck on a lamppost. So Pascal climbs up the lamppost, unties it, puts it in between his teeth, and climbs back down. And the balloon has a string, so he starts to walk to school, actually to the bus, with this big, giant balloon. Now it's filled with helium, it's huge, it's like almost as big as him, and it's got this string hanging down. But what you don't realize in the beginning is that it's a sentient balloon. So it actually has the ability, right, to perceive and feel, right? So this balloon becomes Pascal's best friend. The two of them become inseparable. The only thing is the balloon is not really allowed on the bus, and the balloon is not allowed at school, and the balloon is not allowed at church or in the house. But it follows Pascal, and when he goes into the classroom, when Pascal comes out, the balloon is there waiting for him, right? So they have this bond, and Pascal is taking care of this balloon. He's protecting the balloon, and he loves the balloon, and it's a really sweet friendship. They play, the balloon flies out of his reach, and he tries to grab it, and the balloon will go up higher, teasing like kids do, right? Having this friendship. But unfortunately, the other school kids started to get jealous of this big balloon and jealous of Pascal. And so they try to ambush him, right? So they kind of like all sneak up and they have their slingshots and they're trying to throw rocks at the balloon. And a couple of times they're able to get by, sneak through a fence, the balloon goes up high and then comes back into Pascal's hands, right? But unfortunately, they do catch up to Pascal and the balloon, and one nasty little bully takes his slingshot and hits the balloon, and the balloon starts to deflate and it starts to drop to the ground. Pascal's heart is broken, and then finally the balloon is on the ground and another bully comes up and stops it out, right? And at that moment, every balloon in Paris, every balloon, if a kid was walking down the street, the balloon would fly right out of their hands. All of these balloons in Paris started coming to Pascal. Red, blue, green, orange, yellow, they all came to Pascal with their strings, and he grabbed onto all of their strings and it lifted him, right? Took him up out of the situation and then just drifted him over the city of Paris, right? So when we're kind, it comes back tenfold, and I believe that that's the plot, that's the whole theme of the story, right? And that is the story of the red balloon. So thank you.
Give my regards to Broadway. Remember me to Herald Square. Tell all the gang at 42nd Street that I will soon be there. Jayanti and I, we never met. However, in 1965, we were both walking around the streets of Broadway in New York City. Not together, but we did. We even ate at the same restaurant, Sardi's on 44th Street. I don't know if any of you have ever been there. What was lovely about Sardi's was actors, and Jayanti and I were definitely actors, we could eat there for half price. So it was really nice. And in those days, you could have a complete dinner for $10. So, it's a long time ago. The good old days. Jayanti loved Broadway. He loved walking around there, but you know he loved a section of New York even more. And did anybody want to guess what section of New York he really loved? There's no wrong answer, but there's one right answer. Greenwich Village. He loved Greenwich Village. And one of the things about Greenwich Village was there were all these little theaters in basements. And sometimes there would only be 5 people on the stage. But for 5 people, you perform. He loved it. He wrote about it. He was an actor, director, writer. So tonight, with your permission, I'm going to do what they do, say, in theater, which is to suspend disbelief. Suspend disbelief. And I'm going to do something that a lot of shows do. Sometimes there's a one-man show. Jayanti and I saw a lot of those. And the one man may bring to life another person. It's done all the time. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So, Jayanti, look, they all came out. They knew it was going to be a tribute to you. They all came out. So we're very, very grateful for that. We had so much in common, didn't we? So much in common. And one of the things that we had in common was that our families really did not want us to do this. They did not want us to go into show business. They didn't want us to be theater people. You were living with your uncle. I know you said this in one of the interviews. You were living with your uncle. And you went to your uncle and you said, I want to do this. I want to be in theater. I want to perform. I want to create. Your uncle was not very happy about that. And he said, if that's the case, you probably have to leave my house. Remember? Not a good moment. There was a lot of love from him, but it was difficult. Same thing happened to me. My grandfather, Abe, wonderful man who came with his wife from Poland to the United States. I went to him one day and I said, I'm going to be an actor. He looked at me with such rage. He said, no acting, never. You'll be a bum. You'll be living under a highway somewhere. No acting. So I listened to him because he was saying this with a great deal of love. And then I forgot what he said. Because my life was my life. We had to go certain places. Jayanti, you may remember in an interview, you once said, and you did say this, I am great. And why not? You were great. You have a right to say it. Now, on the other hand, I was not there at all, but I was thinking, oh, I'm doing really well. I'm getting all these roles, etc. So one night, I go back to the dormitory, and my best friend Jim grabs me by the arm, and he pulls me into the laundry room. Why am I always in a laundry room? But I've loved it, Michelle. I really loved it. But there I was in the laundry room. He closes the door, and he kicks me in the butt really hard. And you know what? That was the best acting lesson I ever had. Because at that moment, I said to myself, Jay, when you're on stage, you can do whatever you need to do. You can be a whirling dervish, you can try to tap dance, which I can't do, you can sing opera. Anything you need to do, you do it. But off stage, you are just Jay. And that's how it should be. Great lesson. I'll never forget that moment. So, Jayanti and I, you remember this, you played in Tartuffe. Tartuffe was one of the best shows ever. You loved doing that. I was in Tartuffe. We had another show in common. You remember, you found this show, when you were in New York, you found this show. You took it back to India, and you directed it in India, you translated it, and it was a big success. And there are two major characters in this show. One is a Wall Street type. Money, 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 money. That's all he wanted. More, more, more money. There's never enough money. His name was Mr. Kirby. But then there was another man in the same scene, and you directed these two when you did your production, the grandfather. And the grandfather one day looked at Mr. Kirby and he said, he looked right in his eyes, he said, Mr. Kirby, how much money do you need? How much do you need? And he looked him in the eyes and he said, Mr. Kirby, you can't take it with you. What a show. Jayanti, let's go for a walk. Into the woods. Now I know, you're right. It's dark out. There may be a bear. Who knows? There might be a squirrel. Maybe the squirrel that ate something from our plate the other day. I don't know if you were there when that squirrel took the food right off of our plate and put it in the dining hall. So we're going to go for a walk. But just imagine we're doing it because it's so dark. But it's a beautiful night. Moonlight. The path is clear. And we come to a tree, and it reminded me of a show from Shakespeare. The show was As You Like It. So I say to you, Jayanti, this line from that show, and this, our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, finds tongues in trees, finds Rumi in the Blue Sky Theater. That's not part of Shakespeare, but hello you. Oh my God, I'll never forget this night. And so he finds tongues in trees, sermons in stones, books in the running brooks, and good in everything. And I would not change it. I look away for a minute. I look up at the beautiful sky, the moon, and then I turn back. And Jayanti's gone. He's walking up a path, and the moonlight is making him glow in the night light. And I say to him, Jayanti, thank you for creating. Thank you for doing so many wonderful things for the world. And thank you for being my friend.
So, Toph, this everybody here realizes it, but living and working amongst us is a true veteran of Broadway, off-Broadway, inner Broadway, as he says. And I did a little research, and he is the real deal. Me? I'm a housekeeping department head in an ashram. I am a veteran off-premise caterer. I do behind the scenes. Topher decided that I was exactly who he was looking for to play this role. So I said, far be it for me to dispute a highly trained professional. I don't see it, but whatever. The next scene is from the Broadway classic Cabaret, a show that I've never seen. So I did a little research and I looked up the characters and thought I'd be playing the Liza Minnelli character. Alas, I am playing Fräulein Schneider, a German innkeeper who is the object of Herr Schultz's affections. But you never know, this could be my big break. So without further ado, and seeing how hair and makeup is a no-show, please join us as we travel way out of my comfort zone and into 1929 Berlin.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. Fremder, étranger, stranger, glücklich zu sehen, je suis enchanté, happy to meet you, bleibe, reste, stay. Good evening, Fräulein Schneider.
Herr Schultz, how are you this evening?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm so glad to see you. And I have to tell you, I brought you a little something from the shop.
For me?
For you.
From the shop?
From the shop.
Must be food.
Well, let me give it to you.
It is very heavy. What is in here? What could it be? Herr Schultz,
Well,
I know it's fruit. You're a fruit shop.
you can take a look. Or you can see, what does it feel
I
like?
think grapefruits.
Ah, no, not grapefruits.
12 grapefruits. Many grapefruits.
Many grapefruits. You're getting closer, but not quite there yet.
Oranges.
No, not orange.
48 on. I do not know.
Then open and look.
Oh, Herr Schultz, I cannot accept this. This is too much. It is too expensive. It is too valuable.
Nothing is too good for you. If I had my way, I would fill your entire room with pineapples. I've lived in your rooming house for many months now, Fräulein Schneider, and I have to tell you, I feel very close to you, and I want to ask a question, but I don't know quite how to ask it. Well, so I'll just ask it. I was hoping that maybe you would accept my idea of getting married.
Herr Schultz, why? Why would you want to marry me? I am an innkeeper of a boarding house. Not even a nice boarding house. A clean boarding house. But not such a nice boarding house. We've got issues. We've got so many problems. I have problems of my own. I am no catch.
Am I such a great find? I mean, a balding widower who sells a little fruit.
But I have problems with knees. I have problems with everything.
My right leg bothers me. I can hardly see anymore, and I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
What?
Well, oh,
What?
what? Yeah, no, I heard that.
I can barely hear myself.
But, Fräulein Schneider, what are we talking about? We're alive. But what good is it alone? So if you would even consider marriage, oh, I know it frightens you because you have never been married, but believe me, it can be wonderful. How the world can change. It can change like that, due to one little word, married. See a palace rise from a two-room flat, due to one little word, married. And the old despair that was often there suddenly ceases to be. For you wake one day, look around, and say, somebody wonderful married me. And Fräulein Schneider, it is not always a good thing to settle for the lowest apple on the tree, the one easiest to reach. Climb up a little way. It is worth it. Up there, the apples are so much more delicious. And if you should ever fall, I will catch you, I promise. I hope we are not too old for words like love. And the old despair, so something there, suddenly ceases to be. For you wake one day, look around, and say, somebody wonderful married me.
Herr Schultz, I do not. Cold.
Ah.
Have a rating, kind of cool.
It truly is all about love. His name was Morris. Some called him Moishe. He was my father. I went one night to visit him in the facility where he was being taken care of because he had gone into dementia. He had already lost his wife, my mother. And I went into his room, he wasn't there yet. And I waited, and I heard the wheelchair being paddled, you know how they paddle with their feet, the wheelchair. And he came into the room, and he went right by me, he didn't know who I was. What happens? I sat there for a moment, and all of a sudden, this miracle happened. He became so lucid. He became himself again. And he looked at me and he said, "It's a miracle. It's a miracle you're here." So we talked a little bit, and reminisced a little bit, and then all of a sudden, he was in his own place again. And before I knew it, he had taken his wheelchair out into the big hall where everybody sits at night. And I followed along, and I got a chair and I sat right next to him. And we just looked out, and we knew, both of us knew, we were there. All of a sudden I feel the presence of somebody coming down the corridor. There was a lady, beautifully dressed with lots of jewelry. She came down the corridor, and I got the impression right away that she wanted me gone. So I moved my chair away from my father, and I went to the end of the corridor, and I just watched. And before I knew it, my father took his left hand and put it over the hand of the lady next to him. It was the most beautiful moment, the most beautiful image that I could have taken away from his life. And I thought at that moment, love never dies. It just changes shape. We now go to a very different place. The schoolroom. Jennifer got me this fabulous bow tie for the seat. This is Mr. Frog's classroom. Remember Pascal, the beautiful story that Vimola told? The boy in Paris? He was about 6 years old. Everybody in this class is about 6 years old. And we have a special guest joining us for this scene tonight. She made her debut at the outdoor stage this season. Then she performed in this room, and now she's making her inner Broadway debut. Let's give it up for Jennifer. So, here we are in this classroom, and normally we just do spelling, but we're not going to do spelling. In a moment, I'm going to ask everybody in the class to think about what they would like to be, Rumi, when we grow up. Oh, he's smiling. You can't see it, but he's smiling, the greatest smile ever. What do we want to be when we grow up? So I'm going to ask each person in the class to say what they would like to be when they grow up. And I'm going to call on them. They're going to come up. They're going to tell us. And we'll begin with Lydia.
When I get up, grow up, I would like to be a princess.
Daniel, why don't you come up and join video? What would you like to be when you grow up?
Well, when I grow up, I want to be a princess too.
You cannot be a princess? You are a boy.
Yeah, but I have longer legs than you.
Oh, but look, I have a long hair. Princess is supposed to have long hair.
Okay, I guess you got me there.
Okay.
Thank you, Lydia and Daniel. Now I would like to call up Michelle.
When I grow up, I want to work at Taco Bell. I want to make the best chalupas ever. That's what I want to be.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm going to call up now Jennifer.
Mr. Frog, when I grow up, I want to be an Amazon delivery driver so I can bring presents to all the boys and girls. Wait. No, Mr. Frog, wait. When I grow up, I want to be a dog walker. So me and Mr. Pikachu can meet all the puppies in the neighborhood, and then we'll go trace the Amazon delivery drivers. But, Mr. Frog, maybe I should do something that helps people. Like become an international spiritual healer to heal all the sick people. But Mr. Frog, if none of that works out, I just want to be Elsa from Frozen. Let's go! Let's go! I'm running with the wind.
Oh, never bothered me anyway.
These are very advanced children with very expensive props and costumes and such. And I think I'd like to ask now that Vimala come up, please.
I totally want to be a dinosaur. I want to be a dinosaur, and I want to fly, and I want big purple eyes, and I want to dance, and I really want a boyfriend. That's what I really want.
Mr. Frog,
Yes?
what do you want to be when you grow up?
I'm glad you asked that, Jennifer. And I'm going to add Mr. Dijon, who you've met before. This is a very spiritual bear, very special bear. What do I want when I grow up? It's a good question. Well, I want to be happy. think I want to find another frog who can be my companion. And we can walk hand in hand, grow old together, love one another. Right, Dijon? And I'll tell you, that's what I would like for each of you, all of you, to just be happy. So thank you, class. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming out. Let's give her a big hand. We're almost at the end of our show tonight. You've been wonderful. Thank you for being here. There is a song that we're going to end with. And going back to Jayanti for a minute. Some of you may know that Jayanti wrote a book called Chaplin, Gandhi, and Me. I tried to get the book the other day from Amazon. Will you believe it's really on Amazon, but they're out of stock? But the book exists, and I'm going to get it someday. And if any of you have not read Jayanti's book, which is in the library in the main house, take a look. You'll be so surprised and happy by that book. So we're going to end tonight with a song that Charlie Chaplin wrote. And you probably know this song. And if you want to sing along at any point, please do. It goes, smile though your heart is breaking. Smile even though it's aching. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your tears and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through. If you just smile. It's lonely up here. Vimala, will you come with me for a moment?
Dare, dance, and sing loudly. Sometimes we smile, not because we're happy, but because we're strong. And by the way, I'm wearing the smile that you gave me.
Thank you for that. I don't think we're ever fully dressed without a smile. I mean, you've got a gorgeous smile. So the end of the song, light up your face with gladness. Hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile. What's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Thank you and good night. I want to bring up for applause Vimala, Vidya. Indulge me for 1 minute. I hope I'm not over time. I went to my first Broadway show. I love that. I went to my first Broadway show when I was 13. My grandmother, and some of you have heard about my grandmother, she invited me to come to a Broadway show. I had a red blazer on, and wow. And we went to Sardi's afterwards. The bus was late from New Jersey, and I thought I'd never get there, but I got there. And she was looking from her seat in the second row of the mezzanine. Where is he? She was so loving. The show was with Jackie Gleason from the Honeymooners. Some of you may remember that show. And I'll never forget this song. It's very short. But he was singing it because he was an older guy, and almost everybody around him seemed much older. And he sang this song, and I hope I can remember the words. The moon has a few new wrinkles. It shines a bit more silver now than gold. I'm staying young. I'm staying young. While everyone around me's growing old. When I see a friend or neighbor, I say it out of common decency. I always say, you ain't changed a day. And then I've got to laugh when they agree. For everybody else is growing old. Not me. Good night and thank you. Jane, we need your house right, please. Get home safely. Thank you all.
One more doll.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Rumi has to have a bow. Rumi needs a bow. Oh, thank you all.
So everybody, before you leave, just give me 1 minute. First up, we want to just say thank you to everybody here. But in the tradition of Dr. Patel and the ashram, we're going to take one moment and we're going to feel the inner joy and the inner happiness that was from the outside, and we bring it in. So just close your eyes for a minute. And just feel that sense of peace and happiness and joy within. Your natural state of being. And project your love to all of these fine friends who got up on the stage in front of us. From your hearts, say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Now for Act 2. Rumi, thank you for being part of the cast tonight. You all know Rumi, the sage, the poet, and to have met Rumi is really a miracle. If any of you want to stay around afterwards and talk about anything with the show, whatever, that would be great. Otherwise, be well, travel well, be safe out there. There are squirrels. Good night.
Frogs.
Frogs.